Thank you, everyone, for attending the first of what we hope will be an ongoing speaker series presented by the Arizona Educational Foundation, or AEF. My name is Kim Graham, and I am the Executive Director of AEF, and I have the best job in the world. And joining me today is our Director of Programs and Partnerships, Matthew Feller, who you'll be hearing from in just a minute, and also the wonderful Sara Wyffels, who I will also be introducing in just a moment. Today's webinar is From Lemons to Lemonade, Resilience in the Post-COVID School Year. And Sara Wyffels is our 2021 Arizona Teacher of the Year. The Teacher of the Year program is coordinated by AEF, and it's one of 7 large-scale programs that we run each year. We serve over 500,000 students, teachers, and administrators. AEF is one of the largest and oldest nonprofits in Arizona, and our mission is to celebrate excellence and cultivate equity in Arizona public schools. And we hope that after today, you'll find us on social media and join our mailing list to stay in touch with us. Now to introduce our guest speaker for today. Sara Wyffels is a Spanish teacher at Chandler High School in Chandler, Arizona. She's a nationally board certified teacher who earned her Bachelor of Arts in Spanish from Western Washington University and her Master of Arts in Teaching from the University of Portland. The ignition for her language learning journey was sparked by her study abroad experience in college. She's passionate about teaching the power of human connection through the Spanish language. She learned Spanish as a second language, which has shown her the power of human connections, adventure, and the beauty of the human spirit, which are themes integrated into her Spanish classes. She considers herself and her students global citizens who have the ability to make a positive difference in the world every day. And we are honored to have Sara, the 2021 Arizona Teacher of the Year, join us today. Sara?
Hello, good afternoon, or good morning, wherever you are. I know there's somebody who potentially would be on here from Argentina. So I don't know what time, it's probably afternoon there. I'm so happy to be here today, and I'm so grateful to AEF and to Kim and Matt for supporting the day today and starting something new and innovative. And I think many of us during this time have genuinely thought about what can we do moving forward to be more innovative and creative. And so AEF is on the same journey as many of us. So I have a few things I really want to share with you today. And but first of all, I just am really curious who's here. I did get to see the list. But my question, I have 2 questions, and Matt is going to help me ask you through a poll in our webinar. So first of all, who am I? So I am a professional. I am a Spanish teacher at Chandler High, a nationally board certified teacher, like Kim mentioned, which is one of my favorite professional experiences. I'm a mother. I have 2 children. They are boys. I have an 11-year-old and a 9-year-old. And I am a human trying to do better every day in this world. So about you. So who are you? I have 2 questions. I have a question as far as, I put where in Arizona, but I do realize there are a couple of you not here. But where in Arizona do you teach, or does your child attend school? I know some of you are not educators in the webinar today. And then my second question is, when do you return to teaching, or when does your child return? So I have locations for the first one. The second one, I put every night in my dreams. That could be good or bad. Maybe some of you came back today. Maybe some of you are with me and we go back tomorrow. The teachers, we go back tomorrow. I'm living in denial. I'm just like jamming a bunch of things in these last couple of days. But that is what I am curious about. The third question, we will answer this one too. So go ahead and draft your answers here, but I want to explain a few things about the third one. So I'm curious what you would like prioritized either in your practice as an educator this school year, or if you are a parent in the classroom of your child. And I'd like you to pick maybe 2 or 3. Now, if you don't know, and if maybe one of the reasons why you've signed up for the webinar is like, maybe you're wondering you could get some kind of inspiration from this, which is what I'm hoping to give us. Maybe that's what you're sort of waiting for. So social emotional learning is like the well-being of our students socially and emotionally, their mental health, their social interactions. Are those things in place so that they can move forward in their learning? Co-creating with students, one of my good friends, Jillian Hernandez, she's been talking a lot about this lately, and that would be when we are partners with our students in the classroom and creating our learning communities. Inclusivity, how more can we be inclusive and create an inclusive community? Project-based learning, prioritizing skills over content, perhaps collaboration with colleagues will take a priority for you, or other, to type into the chat if you would like. So those are my questions for you. And Matt, let me know if there's a way for me to see those.
It will be in just a second. So it gives me the opportunity to end polling. So just let me know when you're ready for that.
Okay. So I'm going to let you all finish thinking about your answers and submitting those. And Matt will rifle through there. And while we are doing that, I would like to share a little bit as far as, you know, why I am excited about doing this today. And I thought of the word fellowship. If you've read Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring is one of the books. And the word fellowship means like a friendly relationship, companionship, and friendliness. And so I think that that's really kind of at the heart of why I wanted to connect with you all today, is that I would like to share this moment of reflection and consideration of resiliency with you. And so that is really kind of why I'm here. And while we're doing that, I am going to do the famous announce I'm going to share my screen thing with you. All right, so I'm going to move forward here. All right, so that's our why. I put JLo on here to remind me that I wanted to ask you why. And from my own experiences, like I said, as a woman, a mother, and an educator, my hope is that we can bring a focus into the school year in the spirit of resilience and optimism. And there's three things I think that are centered around what I'd like to share with you today. And one of them is passion. What is like the soul or heart of what drives us and why we're here? The second one is like this collaborative space, sharing space with other people and with our community. And the third one is the spirit of advocacy for students, for teachers, and for public education. And so we'll get into this a little bit more during this time. But first, I want to extract a little bit of my rationale from some of my summer experiences and my experiences just in my life recently.
Real quick, Sarah, if I could, do you want me to shut down polling for you?
Yeah, let's do it. See what happens. Okay, cool. Okay, so majority of you are Maricopa County. I've got a little bit from everywhere else in Arizona. I love it. Greetings to you all. Many of us had a big storm recently. Part of my fence went down, so I hope you're all okay from that. When do you return to teaching? Okay, a lot of you, most of you, pangs of jealousy, 2 weeks or later. However, the benefit of our schedule is that we get 2 weeks off each break. So October, December, March, we get 2 weeks off. So it ends up being great, but right now it's very painful. So enjoy the last little bit of your summer, and I really hope our time together can maybe just plant some seeds of a direction for you. And prioritizing. It is not surprising to see that 67% of you have put social emotional learning as our #1 priority. The well-being of our students emotionally and among their peers is a big priority. Inclusivity, everybody, I mean, there's every single answer has been represented in some space. And I do hope to touch on each of those at some point today. So I really appreciate you sharing. There will be a couple other moments where I will ask for you to participate, since This is a webinar. It's kind of a one-way street, but there is a way for us to make it more interactive. And so we are going to do that. Thank you very much. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to go into my summer and my experiences recently in my life a little bit. So when I'm not working, I'm most likely at some sort of soccer event or watching some sort of soccer event. Both of my kids play club soccer. Here they are. And we also have season tickets now to the Phoenix Rising games, which if you've never been to one, I mean, I'm biased because I like soccer a lot. I think they're really fun. It's a fun family atmosphere. And then, I mean, we have soccer on. If it's on, it's being televised, it's on our TV. And since we're home for the summer, even more so. So with that, knowing that about me, there are a lot of assumptions that get made, and the assumptions can be correct and sometimes incorrect, and sometimes they end up being a little bit like judgments, right? So for one, oh, well, she's a soccer mom. Now that's totally true. I am totally a soccer mom. I don't own a minivan, but I am at soccer. I'm out there playing soccer with my kids, learning, doing all that stuff. I embrace it, and it's great. Some other assumptions that either me or my husband played soccer, which is not true. I loved volleyball. I played volleyball all the time. My husband played baseball. So we actually played different sports growing up. Another one might be that, well, she probably doesn't have a lot of time for herself. Another one, which I find most of us actually would say is true, regardless of what you do with your spare time, is that balance is difficult and is never achieved, really. And then maybe another piece would be that there's, no time for the kids or the adults to do other things because they're in club, and that just means, oh, they're committed to this with much of their time. So those things actually are all true to some extent. There's a way for me to look at that from a deficit perspective, from maybe like a more sour, lemony perspective, maybe a choice in the way that I view those things in my life. So they are worries that cross my mind. And I wouldn't be honest if I didn't say that I didn't wrestle with all those things. But the experience of this time in my life isn't just the struggle, and it isn't just the beauty. It can be sweet, it can be sour, and it can even be bland at times. And that's genuinely the beauty of humanity. So again, the title of this is Lemons to Lemonade. So that is our thread that's going to connect all of this. So my lemonade through this is that this summer, we got to travel because of soccer. We went to Las Vegas. My kids got to go into the Bellagio. There was this amazing Phoenix sculpture in the Bellagio. That's us there. We got to see the beautiful fountain show in front, sharing those moments and those experiences with my young children, making memories. We also got to go to Texas, to Dallas, which I still think here is hotter, but it was very humid. And these are actually my niece and my nephew, who my children have never met. And they live there. And so they got to play soccer there, and we got to spend some time with family that we really don't get to see very often. Also in Dallas, we got to go watch an MLS game. And that was very fun. They played against the Minnesota team. My husband's from Minnesota. And so there's us at a soccer game. And even my new dog, my COVID puppy, Lily, loves soccer as well. She plays really good defense. So we built a community. Now on the left here, this is us. This is typically what we look like. My mom came to visit. She's in this picture with us. There's my friend Nelson. And I've superimposed my dear friend Laura there too, who was missing that night. But it's a bit of a shared purpose and community that we have. And it doesn't feel like it's too hard because we're in it together, and we have this passion, this reason, and a love for the game and learning about the game, and a love, obviously, for these two little people who are growing up in this world and who are learning a lot from the game. So that's my lemonade. And just because all these great things are there doesn't mean that I'm not struggling with those things and that I shouldn't acknowledge those other pieces. And so that's sort of where I'm going to take us professionally and as parents here in a little bit. So the lemons in maybe our lives or in our profession, we need to acknowledge those and name those things, because once we've identified them, we can proceed in overcoming them. Last summer at one of the Arizona K-12 Center summer symposiums, the teacher leadership, Cass Miner talked about this. And I'd like to share mine, and then I'm going to ask you to maybe share some of yours if you're willing. So for me, once I've identified these, now I can proceed in overcoming them. Mine genuinely boil down to what I would call fear, actually, that I am afraid that last year, maybe I lost some of my creativity as an educator, that, I really missed those opportunities to stay connected to my students. Do I even know how to do that well anymore? All this doubt and fear. I miss the human part of teaching Spanish, the facial expressions, the interchange and all of that. I feel overwhelmed to start this year. I want to do so many things different, and it's really hard for me to narrow something down. There's overall in our state, we have a teacher shortage. We are trying to recover funding for public education. So all of these things, I feel deep down a little afraid. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to find I have a Jamboard, there it is, that I would like you, if you are willing, to share some of your lemons with the group. And so on a Jamboard, the way this works is when you click on there, go back to sharing my screen, you can add sticky notes to it. So I've added 2 sticky notes, my lemons, the things that I'm struggling with that are sour, that have left a sour taste in my mouth. So I put, last year lacked fun and joy for me, and I know for my students. I missed authentic connections with students. So if you go over to the left and you click this sticky note option, you can then type in whatever you want and it will appear on the screen. So if you are willing to share your lemons, I'm going to give you a few minutes to share those, whether you are an educator or a parent or an administrator. Let's lay it on the table. You can also move your sticky notes around a little bit. Rotate them.
Sarah, while everyone's doing this, I wonder if you would mind answering. We have one question in regards to being a soccer mom. And so I'm going to try, I've never tried this function before, but it says I can have you answer it live. So I don't know, did it show you that question?
Yeah, I see it.
Awesome.
Thank you. Hi, Colleen. So you're a soccer mom too. Club soccer was a huge consistency during the crazy year. I couldn't agree more. There were multiple times that I just put out gratefulness for the fact that we had soccer as a piece of consistency. Same, created a great balance of exercise and socialization to the virtual school situation. Fully agree. Yes, my own children, and I think my students who also had an outside connection, whether it was through something with the arts or with a sport, or some other sort of community that they could connect with. I couldn't agree more. And like I said, I kept putting out my gratefulness for it because I think it actually helped my kids with their maybe emotional, the moments where maybe they were emotional, but they didn't know why, and just the effects of the pandemic and the isolation. And I think it truly was helpful. So I'm so happy to hear that you were able to find that too. thank you very much for the vulnerability and the honesty that's being shared on this page. I would really encourage you to, once you've sort of generated your own lemons, take a moment to listen to what our colleagues and our friends and our community is saying here. A lot of this I just feel I empathize with, because words like, you know how I mentioned fear, worried, and you know, things like never feeling, things like that. Overwhelmed, losing, missing them working in groups, even just that simple piece. Going from a balance and then losing it again. Yes. So, wait to minimize this for a second. Thank you so much. And if you have more, please don't hesitate to continue to add to that sheet. We are going to come back to it. So, like I said, if we don't acknowledge and name those things, we're not really being honest with ourselves. And this is how we can grow. And this is how we can now determine a way to move forward. I'm going to switch. Sorry, I have a bunch of things I want to switch. Okay, good. There's still more going up. Okay, switch back to my presentation here. Okay, so have you ever made homemade lemonade? I've done it maybe twice. It's not something that it's not like a thing, but here's what I want us to think about now. So we have these lemons that are frustrating to us, that we feel overwhelmed by. And so let's talk about how you do make lemonade, like legit lemonade. And then I want us to take this strategy and we're going to try to make some lemonade from some of our lemons. Some of them, we might just decide we're going to throw them out. Maybe we're just throwing them out and they're gone for a while. So we have to juice our lemons. So that's pretty therapeutic, right? Like squishing a lemon, maybe just that would be lovely, right? So we have to juice them. We have to extract the juice from them, the flavor. And then you do end up throwing away part of the lemon, right? So maybe there's a part of it that you can take out and take with you. We have to dilute it. It's too sour. So usually you would use something to neutralize it, like water. And it's an addition, you add to it. And then you have to sweeten it because it's so sour that to combat that sourness, we have to add sugar or some sort of sweetening agent to combat that taste, that flavor. And in the end, you get to garnish it up. We get to use our creativity. You can add different things just to make it look better or taste a little different. How do we make it appealing and accessible? So that's what we're going to try to do with our figurative lemons. So things for me, when I'm thinking about turning my lemons into lemonade, I know essentially that I'm not alone, but I feel that way sometimes. And just connecting like today with my community can help me feel a little better. I also know that everything that I do starts with the knowledge of my students. And I shouldn't have anxiety when I haven't even met my classes yet. So it's a little bit of like my irrational anxiety and rationalizing, saying, well, what you do is based on the knowledge of your students. We learn that when we do our national board certifications. There's a shameless plug for that process. But we don't even know who's going to be in our room yet. And so let's focus on, okay, well, when they do get there, how am I going to get to know them? So I will see them soon. So I couldn't see them last year, but I will see them this year. Also, this whole time gave me a moment to step back and decide how to start fresh. And again, this does feel a little overwhelming, but I have made some decisions as far as what I want to prioritize. And so we are going to get to that at some point. So I want you thinking about all those things you want to do are valid. And what I'm really thinking about is how I can center what I'm doing every day in my classroom around the kids that are there, and around a more diverse representation of the world also. I have decided that I want to have some sort of mantra, a repeated saying that I'm going to come back to. And so I'm going to share that with you as well. And I think that that will help me in those whirling moments of chaos and of stress to sort of come back to. So I'm going to go, I'd like us to go back to the Jamboard. So if you could go back to the Jamboard and go to, I think we all used the same sheet on the Jamboard. I did 2 lemon sheets just in case we needed 2. So go to sheet number 3 where it says lemonade. So you might not have like a lemonade antidote to all of your lemons, but I would like you to think of what you would put as an antidote to at least one of your lemons. So I put in mine, I had put last year lacked joy and fun, and then I missed authentic connections with students. So I put, I can foster an environment of joy and demonstrate the joy and the fun of learning. So that's my lemonade piece for that one. And then the next one is that I am making intentional plans to prioritize my personal connections with students, and that will continue the entire year. So you'll do the same process of your sticky notes, and you can always go back to what you had put originally. And then it would be on number 3. I'm going to give us a little time and space to process, again, at least one. While you guys are thinking that, my friend Beth Maloney is on here. And I'm going to read her question while some of you are focusing here. And so what Beth is asking is, how do we share a broader representation of the world when we fear the teacher gag bill repercussions? And again, that word fear is just so overwhelming. And I think I don't know where I'm at with it. I'll just share where I'm at with it. And if anybody else has something to share, actually, we don't have, do we have a chat feature, Matt, or no? Maybe they could just add in the question and answer section.
They can chat to you and I, but they can't chat with each other.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, but they could send us messages that we could communicate to others.
Okay, thank you. For me, I'm leaning into the fact that I know as a professional educator in my specific space, right, is teaching Spanish. And with that comes with teaching about the target cultures of the world where Spanish is spoken, and about cultures of Spanish speaking people all over the world and in our own country and in our own community. And so what I'm leaning into is that I know that this teaching is valid and connected to my job. And I guess what I'm also leaning into is that I know that it's what's right for our students, and that part of our job as educators is to bring the world to our students. And that's how I'm dealing with it. I don't know, that's how I've chosen to view this. And in my mind, if that's a fight I have to have at some point, I think I'll have it. but it is very frustrating that we're in a state where that's something we even have to think about, isn't it? I'd love to hear more. If any of you even want to put on the Jamboard, you could put your own personal response to Beth's question about fearing the repercussions of the teacher gag bill. Okay, I'm gonna look at some of your lemonades. Okay, somebody mentioned Cornelius Miner's book, which I'm gonna mention at the end. I have that in my resource page. His protocol for saying no to preserve the balance. I love that that was added here. Co-creating space with students so the responsibility of learning is shared. Achievable goals at the beginning of each day and follow through. Focus on personal connections with students. Collaborative and inclusive lessons. Supporting students as a whole people. Remember how I felt like I didn't connect to my new students last year as motivation to be intentional about connecting with all students now that we are all back in person. I hope that you have a place where you have put your lemons and lemonades so that you can access this, and you all actually will have access to this document still. But I'm hoping that you're hanging on to this since you're doing some reflection right now. Please keep it with you so that when you are back in those spaces that you have these reminders. This one. Somebody mentioned SEL resources, that we need access to those. And my hope is that many of our sites, hopefully that's a priority. And if it's not, that is one of those pieces where I do see us needing to advocate. We'll need more support with that. The excitement of knowing you're going to meet a new group of students. We're really blessed in that we have a profession where we sort of get a fresh start every year to some extent. Stay grateful for the opportunity to return to the classroom. Thank you. Again, if you come up with some other remedies to your lemons, please add them here again. Again, I appreciate the vulnerability and the honesty. And I hope that it helps you propel into the school year. All right, back over to my slides. Okay, so we're making lemonade, guys. All right, so I mentioned a bit of a mantra. So I do want to talk about that and ask that you humor me and hopefully feed yourself something that will be nourishing to you. So in mindfulness and in meditation, a mantra is a repeated word or phrase. And I put the inhale, exhale GIF here to remind us, like when we are doing mindfulness of the act of breathing and being attentive to our breath. And so thinking about your lemon to a lemonade, is there a word or a short phrase that you could now turn into a mantra to help you to remember when you are feeling in that whirl of chaos or feeling overwhelmed, that you could have to tell yourself? The one that I've come up with for myself is center students and their needs. So that's where I'm at. I'm always going to bring it back to my knowledge of the students. So if I feel overwhelmed, if I feel worried, if I feel like I'm off track, this is where I'm going to go with myself. I'm going to bring myself back to centering my practice and my purpose around my students. This is the last Jamboard activity that I'm going to ask you to do. So if you go to slide 5 on the Jamboard, I've put my mantra there. So is there a way that you could put your lemons to lemonade into a mantra to help yourself to remember when maybe you're whirling in that state of overwhelm? Is there a word? I tried to make mine a word. There's three little phrases. It's like a poem. I'm also going to put a reminder of this where I see it every day for sure, because I know that if I get too busy, I will ignore it. So somebody put the word lift. I love that. It's okay to say no, let go. That rhymes too. I feel like this is poetry. Love it. Faith in my goals. Stay grateful, trust the process. There was a lot of gratefulness in the lemonade slide, I thought. Be the lighthouse. Aw. Community is sacred. It's okay to ask for help. You don't have to do it alone. If we're setting these up right now, I would really be interested, and maybe, I think I have all your email addresses from this, in a few months, maybe after first quarter, to see, how did we do coming back to this? How did we do coming back to this throughout a whole quarter? Were we mindful of it? Did it work for us? How did it work? And are you interested in changing what you need to say to yourself? So if you're open to that, I think I would really like to follow up with you. Set intentions, stay purposeful, and remember, it's okay if it's messy. I couldn't agree more. It should be messy. If it's not messy, we're not doing it right. We're not taking risks, If it didn't happen today, focus on tomorrow. It all ends up getting done, that's for sure, huh? Listen and be inclusive. Allow for mistakes and learn from it. All right, if we come up with more, let's add more. I might do one more check before our time is up. Ooh, my friend Sara Mora, who is on here, she has a suggestion, and I would like to make it to all of us. And if you don't know how to do this, maybe I'll have to share her email with you, or maybe she can share with us how to do it. She's suggesting to make a desktop background with the mantra on it so that it's just in your face. Like when you log in, it's the first thing you see. You can't escape it. I think that's pretty good. Thanks, Sarah. This is why collaboration is the most powerful. It makes us all better. It makes us all think of different ways to do something we thought we knew what we were doing. All right, so we've shared a mantra. We're trying to squeeze some lemons into some lemonade. Maybe we're throwing some lemons out. And like I had mentioned, just to review a little bit, that for me, fear ends up really in most of the things that I'm doubting or afraid of or worried about. And along with the mantra, what I mentioned at the beginning of the session, is that what I've really leaned into specifically in regards to fear in general. So I have my specific mantra for my classroom practice, but what I've really learned for myself as far as fear goes, if for my antidote, I lean on my passion. My passion is teaching human connections through the Spanish language, because I think that's what the world needs and we can all contribute to that. My passion. Number two, my collaboration. And that's what this is right now. That's what this time is right now. And other times where I'm with my colleagues, my coworkers, my team, that is powerful and it makes us all better. And then the last piece is advocacy, giving voice to our students, our colleagues, and our profession and public education. Those are things I all have control over. And so this is where that I need to land to combat my fear, is in my passion, my collaboration, and my advocacy. Also, another little phrase that I wanted to share that I'm taking with me is that humans will be more important than content, and they always should be. And I think that connects back to at the beginning where we're talking about the importance of social and emotional skills and learning, and we're checking in with our students unrelated to our content. I would also argue here that skills in general, the skill of communication, of collaboration, of creativity, that those skills, I think, might need to be a little more important than the content itself. And I think moving forward in education, I think that's something interesting to think about. And one of my resources at the end connects to that too. So in closing, I think that our resiliency and our capacity for it's there, it lies within us. And I think having some grace with acknowledging those lemons and that some of them are just always going to be there, or that maybe we need to deal with some of them in a different way, is affirming, and that we have the power to turn most of those pieces into lemonade for ourselves. Now, I mentioned some resources. So the first one on the left is an article about student-centered learning. It's an Edutopia article. I pulled some really good gems from that recently, and so I'd be curious for those of you who are looking to do more of that work, focusing more on our knowledge of our students and giving up some of the control to allow our students to be more centered in our classrooms. I would really encourage you to look at that article. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Also, somebody mentioned the We Got This book by Cornelius Minor. He has concrete pieces that you can integrate into your classroom throughout the year that, again, are focused on who our students are and who might, how can I arrange my classroom in a way in which this student could be more successful, or to be more challenged, or to maybe make a friend that maybe they haven't been able to make yet. So I've really enjoyed his book, and one of my goals is to integrate more concrete pieces from his book. There's also a podcast produced by the AZ K-12 Center. It's called 3 Peas in a Pod. And I put three of them on here. I mean, every season is jam-packed full of amazing content. There's one on positivity where Beth Maloney, who had the question earlier, myself and Beth Maloney are on this positivity one. There is one with Dr. Goldie Muhammad, in which she is discussing decentering our classroom and celebrating diversity in our curriculum and in our classroom. And then Jamie Cassip. The last two people here are people who are at the TLI Institute and who are really focused on where education is headed. And with Jamie Cassip, that whole skills over content piece, if you're interested in digging into that a little more, I think that would be the one for you to really check out. I also want to mention that AEF, the organization who hosts, as you met, Kim and Matt at the beginning, there is, if you're a classroom teacher, there is a service learning opportunity that they are offering for free. I have the link here, and I would really encourage you, those of you who are interested in doing some sort of student-driven service learning project that's focused on social justice. If they see something that they feel around them that maybe in their school or community that is something they feel like they could do something about it to make it right, this is an opportunity to invite this curriculum into your classroom and for them to do a project and for it to be propelled by your students. And lastly, the National Board Certification process. I have enjoyed for years the support of the Arizona K-12 Center. And like I've mentioned several times throughout this, is that my knowledge of my students is what drives my teaching, my practice, and my decisions. And that's the National Board process. That's the center of it. And I keep coming back to it year after year after year, trying to figure out how I can do it better, how I can release myself from it and focus more on giving that space to my students. And that's where I'm at with this journey, with my profession, with where I'm at in this time in my career. I'm really grateful that I got to spend some time with you all today. I've left some time for some Q&A. So there is a question feature which some of you have used, and I'm going to refer back to that right now. So if you have any questions or have a comment that you'd like to share, I'd really love to see and hear from you. So I'm going to start with Holly. So Holly says, I appreciate you uplifting, share, and collaboration today. What is one of the concrete pieces that you are circling around, and how do you see it rolling out in your spaces? Let me grab my book. Hold on. I have it in my backpack. I'm gonna grab my book. I'm assuming you're talking about Cornelius Minor. That's my assumption. Where did he go? I don't have that book. Shoot. Yes, I do. It's mashed in with a bunch of other books, like many of you have. Where is the one? I know the one that. Sorry, I'm trying to find it. Okay, I can't find the page of it, but what it is basically it's kind of a guide that he has in here where you are sort of learning about what your students like, their likes, their interests, what kind of drives them. And you use that information about those personal likes of a student to then decide who to maybe group them with in a certain project or day or unit or just in general. And so you're using that information that you've gotten from the students to then put them together to then create a space where they are comfortable and they're collaborative in a learning space together. That's the one off the top of my head. And so what I see in my space is that when it comes down to Spanish, we have to be very okay with taking risks and trying something new. And so what I think is very valuable for my students is feeling a little bit of comfort in the space in my classroom. And so that's what we really try to build at first, is that this is the place where we're going to try new things and we're not always going to get it right. And if I'm around people that I have some connection with, then I can feel a little bit freer to take those risks in that context. So that's where my head is at there. My friend Laura, she says, thank you. It's just what she needed to get in a healthy headspace to return to teaching. She was with me this last year, teaching online the whole year. And so we both are going back fully in person and are excited. And she said, thank you specifically for imparting the wisdom to stay focused on passion when you feel fear. She loves that. Thanks, Laura. Colleen, what am I most looking forward to this coming school year? Honestly, it's being back in the hallway with my colleagues. So most of us were in the same hallway before that, but this year, literally every world language teacher is going to be up and down this entire hallway. And the reason why I look forward to that is for the very reason that I mentioned before, that the spirit of collaboration, especially if I'm feeling overwhelmed or worried, that I need my people there when I'm when I'm doubting myself and I'm maybe not feeling super great about my practice or my decisions, in the classroom, because it's not every day that you walk away feeling like you killed it, and so I just know that I really need that support, and I know that they do too. And I think we're all celebrating that supportive piece moving forward. Colleen, I hope you have a great school year. Okay, so it's Aaron, not that, who's a photography teacher. So much of what he teaches revolves around social justice issues. Do you have any recommendations for how to approach without legal ramifications? So Aaron, one thing that I'll say specifically is that I don't even know, I'll lay this on the table, I don't know specifically what the legal ramifications from the gag bill even are at this point. But what I do know is if we make sure we're centering what we're doing around our students and allowing them to drive their learning and the choices that they're making, that's where I fall. So I don't know if that is helpful, but yeah, I mean, if it's coming from the students, I think that's the most powerful piece, and that we need to lean into them.
Could I chime in on that one real quick if I could, Sarah?
Yeah.
And I just invited Kim to be a panelist again if she wants to chime in as well, but probably just wanted to note that AEF can't give any legal advice. So if you guys do have any concerns about what you're teaching and any legal ramifications, definitely talk to your district about it to make sure that you get some, all clears and thumbs up and stuff like that. But Kim will probably have some more to say.
No, that was great, Matt. Yeah, just that we're not in a position to advise legally, but I believe every school district will probably be issuing some guidance. And at the very least, most do have an attorney that, helps with just different matters related to the district. So that would be your best resource, is to get information directly from your school district.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Erica. It's nice to see you on here. I miss you, and I hope you're doing well. And good luck starting the school year. All right, are there any other last questions? Doesn't look like it. All the best to you starting off the school year. Please keep your lemons and lemonade and your mantra close to your heart. And I look forward to checking in with you as the year progresses.
Well, thank you, Sarah, and I hope everyone enjoyed today's webinar. We do plan to make this a monthly event, so please watch our social media pages and your email inbox for our next speaker, who will be in August. So thank you again, Sarah, and thank you, Matt, and we hope everyone has a great day. Go make some lemonade.
Sounds good.
Everybody, if you're not following AEF on social media, make sure you guys look for us. We're on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, and you'll get all sorts of cool news about other webinars and fun stuff going on.